Okay, let's start taking some callers. We'll start in Hamilton with Michael. Hi, Michael.
Hi, how you doing today?
Okay, do you have kids in the system that would be affected by this policy?
I do indeed. I have a 10-year-old in grade 5 and a 16-year-old.
So, tell us about what your thoughts are on this. Is it the right approach, or too far, not far enough?
To be honest, I am enormously in favor of the policy. I would like to see it go a little bit farther and add a ban of genetically engineered foods.
You want it farther?
Absolutely. I do think that as a parent, yes, I understand. Every single parent has had the issue of, well, yes, I would like to provide healthy choices, but I also have to ask the question of what are my children going to be willing to eat? Mm-hmm. But I think that if we frame this discussion from the perspective of, well, what are the kids going to think about it if we take away their candy, that clearly we're losing some of our perspective in terms of how we approach an issue like this. Mm-hmm. As their parent, part of what I feel I need to do is provide them with healthy options. And my son doesn't bat an eye at whole wheat because it's what he's accustomed to. And as a cook, I think, there are better options that are also tasty. I don't want this discussion to sound as if, well, healthy food is only, granola and, broccoli, because it's not.
So that you can have both. You can have fun and taste and health all in one.
Absolutely. There's a lot of studies online that suggest nutrition very distinctly affects children's performance in schools. I would point people at seedsofdeception.com, which has reference to the Wisconsin school phenomena where they banned genetically engineered foods in their schools, and in terms of the results they were having with kids, fewer behavioral issues, more scholastic success, and so on. Okay. It's there in black and white.
All right, Michael, thank you to you. That's Michael in Hamilton, and we are asking you, well, in a broad way, honey or vinegar, what is the best way to win over children to eat healthier food? And we're hearing the example from the Hamilton area, a proposal still, but quite strict about eliminating a lot of things that are quite familiar at schools still these days. 1-888-817-8995. You can tell us about the experience at your own school, if you're managing to strike the balance, if it's going too far one way or the other. 1-888-817-8995. Let's go to Wendy in Manotick. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, I'm just in the middle of making chocolate cupcakes for my child's school because her birthday falls on tomorrow, and so there's this peer pressure feeling I have to come in with 24 homemade cupcakes. And when I heard your guest, I'm so supportive of healthy food in general, and within the school system in particular. I'm kicking myself for not having the courage to have brought in the fruit plate. She recommended.
But you still could. You could bring both in, actually, and maybe that would balance it all out. You can have the chocolate cupcake after you have a bit of banana.
Well, really, at kindergarten level, they did say you could bring in a book for their library or the cupcakes, and it seemed ever since kindergarten parents gravitated to the cupcakes, and that's become the de facto norm, and all the children expect it now. So I think there's very good points here that we really need to change the mindset in a positive way with the students. For myself, I pack my daughter a thermos most days with whole wheat pasta, homemade chicken with rice. I figure it must be discouraging every day to have a cold lunch, and I do what I can.
Wendy, I want to go back, though, to you're making cupcakes right now.
Yes.
How old's your daughter?
She'll be 7.
Yeah. How happy is she that you're doing that?
Thrilled. We even picked out the sparkly things to put on them. It's a point of pride, I think, with the children as well when they bring this in.
Yeah.
But I do think there's room to shift that and have positive celebrations that can include food, although don't have to, and still make healthier choices.
Okay, Wendy, thanks for your call as well. That's Wendy in Manotick, right in the middle of making some cupcakes for her child's school. And let me go to our guest just for an instant, Krys Croxall. It's interesting. She used the word, I wish I had the courage to say no.
Well, a lot of it is about attitudes that we just accept, socialization or just things because the way they are. I'm old enough to be able to look back many years to think about how smoking was viewed 30 or 40 years ago and how we have managed to change that whole attitude towards smoking when we found out how unhealthy it was for us and what it did to our bodies and what was going to be the cost.
Although that was pretty incremental. They started in malls, there were battle royals in workplaces, battles in restaurants just 5 years ago. Did you ever think, let's do this gradually? Let's not go...
Well, we are. Our implementation plan is over 3 years, so we're not cutting things off 100% the first year because we understand that change takes time. People have to have not only, the education, they have to be provided with alternatives. And we have some wonderful materials from the nutritionists that work with public health that provide us with some different ways of thinking about all of those things where people go to the default of, oh, it's fundraising, it's chocolate almonds, there's a chocolate bar. There are other things that schools can fundraise with and do an excellent job and maybe more connected to education in a sense.
How much money do you raise from chocolate bar sales?
I would say right now that we probably raise a fair amount of money from food products. And I'm not just going to say chocolate bars because there are also, the muffins and all those kinds of things that are sold as well.
Oh, okay. The reason I asked, my workplace, they sell very quickly, right? Like they're inexpensive, relatively speaking. They can be consumed right away. And sometimes, when people come in with the big, say the recycling bags for your leaves, it involves more of a commitment, and I know parents have a harder time selling the bigger things.
Well, that might be true, but there are some other things that I personally, when I was a principal, had more success selling, and it may depend on the community and also depends on the education. I find sometimes, and I know this from children showing up at my own door from the community, that you tend to want to support the school. So I buy the chocolate bars, although I'm not going to eat the chocolate bars because, personally I don't want to do that because of where I am in life.
Okay.
So, but I do because I want to support the school. So
okay.
I think some people really want the chocolate bars, but I think a lot of people just buy it because, well, it is easy and you can put it in your purse and take it home or whatever, but it isn't necessarily something that they would go out and buy if it wasn't offered to them.
Let's go back to our phones. Dolores is joining us in air. And Dolores, honey or vinegar, what's the best way to tempt kids into changing or choosing healthy foods?
Well, I would say neither. I'm actually very supportive of this approach, and I'll explain in a few minutes in terms of neither. My daughter is now 26, but when she was in public school, all the issues around parents making cupcakes and all the sweets caused a great deal of stress for me because I totally disagreed with it, and I did buck the system, but in retrospect, I don't know how it affected my own daughter because she was not the one that would go to school with the cupcakes and so on. And, birthday parties, I would have fruits, and, well, anyway, you get the idea. But I think I grew up with a very traditional Mediterranean diet, focused primarily on home cooking, fresh ingredients, very strong focus, again, on primarily fruits and vegetables, and sweets only at Christmas time. So what I would like to suggest is that we keep in mind that the approach that we've had here is very culturally focused, and that we can use food to celebrate being connected with people that we love for special social get-togethers, with our family and our friends, rather than as a behavior reinforcer.
Okay.
And that we encourage children to participate in the preparation of our home meals.
Okay, Dolores, I'm going to hold you there. I'm going to go next to Ottawa as well. We have Jennifer joining us.